It's the Rob and Jay show, and we've got a few topics to discuss today. First off, the Shawn Rhoden. We're going to give some insight as to our take as to what's going on in the world of the Olympia and Shawn Rhoden. Second up will be the Larry Wheels saga and what's going on with him. And then last but not least, the third topic of the day, online trainers. Are they a good fit for you? So yeah, welcome to the show, Jay, and I guess here we go.
What's going on, Big Rob?
Well, brother, like we said, we're talking about the Shawn Rhoden deal, and we talk about it all the time. With this year's Olympia, it's an open spot, and I know a lot of people are kind of, I guess, disenchanted, maybe just not even interested as to what's going on, or maybe the buzz is there's something new. What's your take on it, Jay? You've been going to the Olympia for many years.
It's interesting. We don't have all the facts in yet about Shawn. I'm a little surprised how they handled it. I don't know that I would have banned him for life. That's what I'm hearing because he was arrested, or there was a warrant for his arrest. So I started thinking about that.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but usually if you're going to get arrested, they have to have some pretty decent proof.
Well, I think that there's been a little bit of discovery. So the incident happened last year, if I'm not mistaken, around the October timeframe, just shortly after his crowning of Mr. Olympia. The incident, I guess, did occur in a hotel room where they had eventually, I believe with his consent, got his DNA, because many other outlets have stated, he's not one to be running around with in the DNA database. So I got to believe that they asked him for it. He submitted, and from what I've heard, he's passed 2 lie detector tests, and subsequently his bail amount was dropped significantly from $750,000 to $250,000.
Interesting.
So,
well,
yeah.
See, that's a game changer right there.
Right.
And I think it's odd that I heard he's coming out with a movie. This is a year later,
right?
And all of a sudden, this arises. I mean, if you were raped, and I'm not saying either way, it could happen, it could happen, but wouldn't you have gone to the police sooner?
Well, she did. Yeah, she did. Apparently, the day of the event, or the allegation, she did go straight to the police. They did, do their due diligence.
Okay.
A little checkered past with her, and I'd like to state too for the people out there, we don't condone any type of rape of anyone. I mean, that's kind of just straight up, straight up. If this did happen, justice should go, and be done.
Absolutely.
However, though, we do live in a country, like we mentioned, we talked about off air, part of me is kind of like, well, yes, I understand AMI runs the show, but he's a bodybuilder, and that's kind of where we are. It's like being an athlete, but you can't play because there's only one league to play in, right? So it's kind of like the NFL. If they ban you, I guess you could go play in the arena leagues and such, but there's really only one professional NFL league, right? So kind of like with Shawn.
Why would you ban a guy
before
he's like... And I'm not even saying that I agree with this,
sure,
even a suspension, but
sure,
they said they were going to ban him for life, but he hasn't been proven guilty yet.
Right, big one, and we talked about that. Most importantly, it's his profession, right? So it's like a job. If you're going through a court case, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to fire you. However, I guess in this case it's a little different because there's a lot of moving parts, like he's a public figure. But here's the clincher, and we can kind of move on from here. And I know the audience probably are kind of just worn out with it, but we're gonna throw a little curveball your way, guys. Kobe Bryant, in the same state of Utah, went through court proceedings, flew back and forth on his private jet, went to court during the day. Some of you aren't old enough to know this. Some of you may very well know this and forgotten. But he would fly back and forth from Utah. And then play in the playoffs because the Lakers at the time were in the playoffs, and he maintained both lifestyles. I mean, he did the court thing, flew back, and played in some pretty monumental games, and I believe they won the championship that year.
Yeah, that's right.
So, for an NBA player to stay on the rolls, and he was, he had some real hardcore charges he was fighting. There's some precedents as to, I think, some
well,
people.
The question on that is,
yeah.
Do you think it's different because it's the NBA and there's more money to be made? It's a bigger arena. Do they have more? I'm just asking the question. Do they have more to lose? And there's more money involved because Kobe's not there, and as far as Shawn Rhoden goes,
there you go. There you go.
How much money does AMI have to make?
Sure.
Off of just a thought.
Yeah, no, valid point. I mean, that's a very valid point. You're right. It's more beauty contest versus professional basketball, which has all kinds of implications as far as TV ratings and endorsements. You're right. I mean, let's face it. Those that are in power with that much control are probably willing to roll the dice. And I think it was a little bit different of an era. Even if it was just 10 years ago, we're so PC worried these days that people are really quick to jump the gun. But it would be nice to see, hey, we're going to wait for the process to work itself out. But yeah, just in this case, I guess that's not going to happen.
Let me ask you this, okay? What would you do if you're AMI?
Right.
Now there's been charges, but he hasn't been proven guilty yet.
Right.
There's with Phil Heath being out of the show.
Right.
Ty Green talk of him coming back to the show. It doesn't make for a very exciting Olympia, or does it? And then, what would you do? Would you let Shawn compete?
Well, I think in this instance, Jay, if I can, we got to look at his past. Pretty much a family man from what we see on Instagram. Interviewed him along with Muscle Sport Mag. I helped interview Shawn back at the LA Fit Expo in 2018. And from my vantage point, the guy's had a pretty, uncheckered past. He's been a pretty straight, narrow kind of guy. So I think in this instance, you can look at the report and that sort of thing and make a judgment call. But I think you let him compete. However, the stigma is going to be, if he wins, what do you do if he's found guilty? There's just so many variables and moving parts.
Right. It's kind of AMI is in a kind of a predicament because he's the guy. You have the biggest show in bodybuilding, which is considered the Super Bowl.
Right.
Where is the energy and the focus going to be? Is it going to be on the Shawn Rhoden case? Is it going to be on? So
right.
I tend to agree with you.
Or it could bring a little bit more publicity. But at this point, they've made their decision. I guess we're just going to have to live with it. But while we're on that subject, and we'll kind of move along a little bit here, but some are saying, and I'm going to throw this out there to you, Jane, I want your take. Some are saying that they're, in this big R word that we're living in again, racism, that Jeremy Buendia hasn't been stripped of his IFBB titles and his Olympia titles, and he hasn't been deemed where he can't compete, hasn't been banned. He does have police reports. He does have not just accusations, but actual documents showing abuse. He's actually come out and stated that he does have a problem. He's going to try to fix himself. I believe he's Filipino. But what do you think? I mean, there's a lot of people that are speculating, and I just want to touch on it.
Where did he place that in the last Olympia?
Jeremy Buendia, he's got 4 titles. So he's got, four men's physique championships at the Olympia.
I don't know. That's, he's admitted to it. He's done it. So then maybe that's a great point. There could be more to the story because why would you let a guy with 4 Olympias with a proven record, Shawn Rhoden, hasn't been convicted of anything yet. Right. But you're not letting him compete. But then here you let the guy. Then there has to be more possibly to the story. I don't know, Rob.
Right. So there you have it. I mean, we'll kind of put it out there for you guys to comment and let us know your thoughts. But, as we look at it, there's a lot of unanswered questions.